But I came away with two things. One is a commitment to, however possible in this coming year, to make that opportunity available to everyone. Whether it's 20 hours or 46 hours, but to look at our growth and our future in a way that everybody has the opportunity to, for a day or 2 days or 3 days or 5 days or 7 days, however it works, to really dive into the practice and at that level, because to get your household in order and yourself in order and leap into that and then commit yourself to it for a period of time is different, and it reaps great rewards. The other reason I bring it up is because somewhere during all that time I was sitting and was really overcome with a profound appreciation for my life and everything that it has been and is, and how that appreciation really so clearly includes all of you and all of everything. I think in the email out to everybody, I used the word blessed, and I know blessed is a little charged with Christian overtones, but that's really how it felt. It's like, wow, this kid from Albuquerque, New Mexico, and look at this life. Look at this life in business and work and Zen. Up there in the mountain, down here with Prajna Heart. And it really, it moved me to tears, and I just wanted to share that, and I wanted to thank each of you individually and collectively for your role in that, and to come down out of session, as I wrote in the email, and walk into a operational status meeting, and realize that there's a gang of you so committed to this, to this growing Sangha of ours, and to the practice and what it means, that not only was everything kept going, but it was kept growing. And I'm profoundly grateful for that. How many of you celebrated Thanksgiving? It's Thanksgiving weekend. Raise hands. Yeah, there's another hand here. Well, how many of you had a meal in any of the past 3 days? All right. Tall, you haven't eaten? Come on, raise your hand. Thank you. How many of you, and there's no right or wrong answer in this, because there are plenty of times that Lori and I don't, but how many of you, either on Thanksgiving Day or just in a meal anywhere along the way, stopped and really appreciated it, or gave thanks, or said a prayer, or chanted a gatha, or said grace? So, anybody? Yeah, so, I suppose it's a little priest-like, but, here I sit. I just wanted to, God, whoever thought like this would be the case? But anyway, here I sit, and I really wanted to underscore the value of ceremony and the value of ritual, and just stopping for a moment at different points in our life, things that we do every day, like having a meal, and stopping and considering what that is and what it means, and what it represents. Now, I work with a gentleman who has a different spiritual path, and we've flown all over the world together and been in many different situations. And even on a plane, you know, sitting there, he will go upright and go into a meditative pose and just silently, he just takes a moment of silence. And I'm not even sure what his chant is. But even on a packed plane, there's this moment of stopping and this moment of appreciating the meal from his perspective. And he does this in restaurants and he does it in planes. And it's not something I always do on restaurants and or in restaurants and on planes, or even at every meal at home. But I'm always struck by like how simple that is. Like he's just made it a thing that he does. And by him doing it, it always gives me a moment to stop and go, oh yeah. Now, of course, when we're in sesshin or more structured settings, we have our own meal gata. And I think most of you know the meal gata, right? The first line of it, first 72 labors brought us this food, or as it's sometimes chanted, innumerable labors brought us this food. We should know how it comes to us. Second, as we receive this offering, we should consider whether our virtue and practice deserve it. Third, as we desire the natural order of the mind to be free from clinging, we must be free from greed. Fourth, to support our life, we take this food. Fifth, to attain our way, we take this food. First, this food is for the three treasures. Second is for our teachers, parents, nation, and all sentient beings. Third, it is for all beings in the six worlds. Thus, we eat this food with everyone. We eat to stop all evil, to practice good, to save all sentient beings, and to accomplish our Buddha way. Every meal. Innumerable labors brought us this food. We should know how it comes to us. What brought this food to our table and into our lives? Who and what? The 72 labors in the traditional form are the 72 positions in the monastery. The innumerable labors expands that in a somewhat more modern way, and in a lay person's life, in our lives out here in the real world, it expands it right to the farmers, the truckers, the grocery store workers, what we call essential workers these days. So like even in that first line, there's an opportunity to recognize where we are right now in COVID-19 and who are the essential workers that brought us this food. Just recite that one line. And then second, as we receive this offering, okay, now we've reframed it not just as food, but as an offering. We should consider whether our virtue and practice deserve it. This is just like, how am I being? Right? A chance just to look at the precepts. How am I being? How am I in relationship to the world around me? How's my practice? How am I doing? Like a little reminder. Third, as we desire the natural order of the mind to be free from clinging, no attachments, we must be free from greed. Do I really need to pig out here? This kind of goes to the oryoki side of things. Just the right amount. And then, of course, greed goes bigger in terms of attachment to all things in the world, and like how much am I trying to claw things in versus just taking what I need and seeing the beauty in what is here. Fourth, to support our life, we take this food. It's food. It's nourishment. And to attain our way, we need that nourishment, both physical and spiritual. And then it goes on and turns it now away from me to, first it's for the three treasures, Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, right? Enlightenment, the teachings, everybody around us. Second is for our teachers, parents, nation, and all sentient beings, so the circle is going bigger. Third is for all beings in the six worlds. Now, the six worlds is a Buddhist structure or thing, and if I wrote it down, but it's gods and demigods and humans and animals and the hells. So it basically encompasses all state of being and everybody in all states of being. So whether somebody is deluded and tortured in that delusion and in hell, or whether they're in survival mode like an animal, the human sphere is identified as the state that we're in, where we can make these choices and ladder ourselves up and down in these realms, and look, take on this practice as a way to free ourselves from some of the realms. The demigods, it's interesting because it's not necessarily like a bottom to top thing here, because the demigods are somewhat enlightened but warring beings. There's still competition and striving for attachment. And then in the purely God realm, depending on what translation or interpretation you look at, that's like an enlightened being, but like living in that purely enlightened state, almost to a point of not being able to recognize other people's pain and suffering. So when you look at the six realms that way, the human realm is a pretty sweet place to be, because we have the power and the choice on how we're going to operate. So anyway, that's just, maybe too much explanation on that. Thus, we eat this food with everyone, which I used as the lead line for the email. Even when we're alone in this context, we're eating with everyone. All the people that brought it to us, all the people we've just considered. We eat to stop all evil. This is internal as well as external. Evil is not always a comfortable concept for people, but it's, that ability that we as humans have to warp the natural fabric of things into ill intent and harm. Spiritual, psychological, physical, political. We need to stop that. Now, this is where it becomes a vow of intention. Now, as I have this meal, I'm putting it back in the context of my practice as a Buddhist. It's not just a meal. It's not just a spoonful of rice or soup or a bite of a hamburger. It's actually an act of intention to stop all evil, to practice good, to save all sentient beings, and to accomplish our Buddha way. So whether you go, wow, okay, I'm going to do this every meal from now on to the rest of my life, or if it just gives you that moment of pause on a plane where you go, how do I hold this meal? Or maybe anything you're doing, it's like, what is the context for what I'm doing here? I see this gata really as one big piece of appreciation and gratitude and intention and appreciation. As Maizumi Roshi used to end almost every talk, as it's been told to me, I never met him, he would say, appreciate your life. Because just in that act of appreciating our lives, it brings all this other stuff up. Appreciate your life. Now, the question can come up like, well, how do I appreciate my life when it's not all rosy, Dan? Yeah, you were up there on the mountain secluded and somebody fixing food, and your knees might have hurt, but that's, it's just like everything's like that, and you have this moment of profound love and gratitude. Great. But out here, it's kind of messy. I mean, let's face it. at least 70 million people did not vote the way you voted. Just to use an example. You know, no matter which way you voted, at least 70 million people had a different point of view. How do I appreciate that? How do I appreciate traffic or bad air? Or, you know, how do I appreciate fire almost burning down my village? How do I appreciate the jerk in the DMV line? Oh, wait a minute, that was me. Right, Andrea? Looking for a smile there. Okay. Yeah, how do I appreciate that? How do I make that circle bigger? So I thought we'd try a little exercise here for fun, just to do things a little bit differently. So we're gonna do our best to use Zoom technology here. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put you in breakout rooms, just one-on-one, okay, for a few minutes. And as when you go into that breakout room, whoever you end up with, because it's gonna be random, I don't know. I want you to take a minute and find something to appreciate about the other person and express it directly to them. Like, you know what I really love about you, what I really appreciate about you. And then, you know, so do it with each other back and forth, right, for a couple of minutes. And then we're going to come back, and then I'm going to throw you in randomly with another person. Okay. And probably do it one more time. Now, I think all of you have spent at least some screen time together, you know? But this is part of the exercise. What if you end up with somebody you don't know? Well, take a good look at them and see what you see. And if you truly like don't know each other, then I want you just to introduce yourselves, but not like, hi, I'm Mel and I'm an actress and I do some office work, you know, to pay the rent. And you don't want to hear that, right? If you need to introduce yourself, try, hi, my name is Mel. And the one thing that you should know about me is this. Like, out of everything there is to know about me, this is what you need to know. Okay, so that's if you truly run into a roadblock. All right, so I know nobody had any warning, but let's have some fun with this. Okay, so here we go.
Playtime.
Let's see, how many people do we have? Okay, let me try.
13.
Okay, we have an odd number of people, so some of you may end up with 3 people in a room, so just round robin it, okay? And I usually have somebody managing the breakout rooms for me, so we'll see. We'll see how that goes. By the way, turn your picture on and obviously unmute yourself as you go into the room. So here they go.
Did you guys break out too? Lori,
we're just over here appreciating each other.
Oh, good. Thank God. Married people need to do that.
Quite often. Absolutely.
Well, I just got to know Brandon, and he's such a badass. He's going out in the world and learning to be a nurse so he can be there for people, and I love that.
Cool.
I love that.
That's great.
It's amazing.
Good to hear.
Everybody's back.
Everybody's back. All right. So, what did you think?
That was awesome.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, it was great.
Pardon me?
I thought it was too short.
Yeah,
we got cut off a lot.
yeah. Galen got cut off on me as mid-sentence.
Oh,
So,
Sorry, Galen. What do you want to tell her?
Well, that was two back. I forgot.
That's true.
Well, I'll take that into advisement. I didn't want to keep you here all morning, but what did you, okay, so everybody, do me a favor, close your eyes. I can see if they're not closed, by the way. All right. And in this exercise, nobody else can see because everybody else's eyes are closed. Raise your hand if you truly felt appreciated. Okay, you can open your eyes. Everybody had their hand up. So what's the point of this? What do you think the point of this is?
Love.
That's good. Melissa?
I feel like we don't really do it enough, you know? We don't like really acknowledge and give gratitude for people in our lives enough or very often. And so it was great to have the opportunity to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. Anybody else? Galen?
Yeah, I think that with this functionally makes up for the inability to actually come together in a group and then before and after be able to say hi to people and interchange. Number one. Number two, I think it got you out of making a Dharma talk, which
always good, always good.
You know, Galen, I have case 76 of the Blue Cliff record ready here to go if you want it.
okay, let's get down.
Yeah, I'm ready. We could do that too.
Well, I thought it was like just helpful to be able to, like what you said about, appreciating, how do you appreciate the 70 million other people or whatever? Not that that division exists quite here, but just to be thrown into just appreciating another human being just on the spot in a genuine way, I thought was kind of conducive to that. I hope in my daily life.
Yeah, Tennessee, that's an important point. And I did have that question because you all kind of do know each other and have some sense of being in the net together already. When you do this with a larger group or a group of business people, for example, they don't necessarily know each other, or maybe they don't think they appreciate each other. And so all of a sudden they're face to face with somebody that they might feel competitive with, right? And because there's no competition in the Zen world whatsoever. But like how do you appreciate that person that you think you don't or didn't? So yeah, good point. Art, you had your hand up.
This was a combination of appreciate your life and appreciate others' lives.
Yeah, nice. Agree. How was it appreciate your life?
My life is what it is at 85. And, I've had a great life. I've had a great marriage. I'm constructive. I still do things that are important.
Yeah.
Yes, I read a lot and I play chess a lot, but I still do other things.
Yeah, great. But how did the exercise make you appreciate your life, if I'm understanding you correctly?
How did it help me appreciate my life?
Yeah.
Looking at the way other people see us.
Yeah. Yeah. Beautiful. And when you combine that with what Tennessee said, also and you guys should try this in groups that you're running, right? Because what's interesting is you can force people into this exercise and they find something to appreciate. And there's still that question of, well, like, yeah, but I just found something and it was kind of forced. And yet when you do that question at the end of, did you truly feel appreciated? It's almost always unanimous that people felt genuinely appreciated. which is kind of cool. Because what does that raise? It raises, this is not that hard. It's not that difficult. What Melissa was saying, to do something that we don't necessarily always do. And by the way, it happens right here too, right? Do we always spend time appreciating each other, like actually saying, what I really appreciate about you? No, but it's
That would be abnormal. That would be
but,
not useful.
but it can be done. But
not all the time.
Yeah. So anybody else, any other observations?
I just had like a lot of resistance, and now I feel so happy, almost to the point of tears. So if that teaches you something about how wrong my brain can be,
Yeah.
just going with it.
Yeah.
I agree. I felt that, I felt anxiety. I mean, I have a little bit of social anxiety, but I do. I feel like it really was like opened me up, and I got to tell some people that I really like, that I appreciate them, and that was important.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Sharma?
Yeah, I can relate to that resistance, because immediately it was like, no, do I have to do this? I don't want to do this. And then I really felt so moved just knowing there were these people in my life that I also felt moved to tears almost. And I'm so glad I did this. And thank you.
Sure, Sharma. Yeah. Thank you for doing it.
Dan, I also want to say thank you for your description of the 6 worlds.
Yes.
Like, I've heard it described before, but for some reason that really made sense to me, which is really helpful and useful. Maybe right now, seeing where people belong in that, I have a very clear vision in my own life of where people are in that. And it just really humanized all of it. So thanks.
Yeah, and maybe, and Galen, I wasn't kidding. I actually did have case 76 lined up, and maybe we'll do that next week because it actually does touch nicely on, are there those that are worthy or not worthy of the teaching or of saving, or of touching, or of reaching out to? I really, and so this links to it in that kind of reaching out and finding something. Sharma, question for you or for anyone else. Which felt better, being appreciated or appreciating?
I have to be honest, I really loved being appreciated. It just feels amazing. So thank everybody. I didn't even consider I was appreciated. So I have to say, that doesn't come to me easily. So I thank you, everybody.
Save all sentient beings. This is not just a psych exercise, right? Appreciate your life. Whose life is it? Is it the life that stops at the border of this skin? I don't think so. And you just got a good taste of that. Is it the life that includes the Sangha? Is it the life that includes the city, the county, the state, the country, the world? So now imagine if you just take something as simple as this and take it out into daily life as an intention. What can that change in terms of your relationship with other people? When you're at the grocery store, if you look at the checker and from a point of view of what do I appreciate about this person? What can I appreciate? I was doing coaching with a young executive at Harlem Children's Zone, one-on-one coaching at one point, and he had moved into a new role. Yeah, we're still okay on time. He had moved into a new role, and he was having a very difficult time with the staff that was under him at the point in time. And the problem he was having is he didn't see that they had the same commitment and the same intention around working with these families and children that he wanted to see. So he was living with and working with a profound sense of disappointment all the time. And that disappointment would carry into his interactions, because, you know, you go into an interaction expecting to be disappointed, it can be disappointing almost by default. And then he told me this story about the team that he had left, because he was trying to paint a contrast. And the story he told about the team that he had left is when he left this staff of 12 people, he decided to write a thank you note to each of them, just for, you know, their contribution to what they had been doing together. And so he hand wrote thank you notes to everybody and gave them to him, and moved on to his new position, which was in another building. And some months later, he came back, and he's a young guy, and he was like, he described it as being shocked that in people's cubicles and on their desks, his thank you notes were pinned up or sitting there. And he was like, I had no idea. I had no idea. And so we together, I crafted an exercise for him, because I instantly saw an opportunity. It was like, okay, I won't give him a name just for confidentiality. Okay, Bob, he's not Bob. Let's try this. These people you're disappointed with, in your next interaction with each of them, go into that interaction thinking about the thank you note you're going to write after that interaction. Go in with an eye to what you're going to say thank you for. And that simple act of putting yourself in an appreciative mindset transformed his relationship with the new team. Because all of a sudden he started seeing things that he wasn't seeing. And then when they felt appreciated, they started responding in kind, and it created a whole different kind of power. So again, this command from Izumi to appreciate your life, or the vow to save all sentient beings, it comes down to every day. And we can take it very simply out into the world. And there we are being bodhisattvas, and we are doing the training both for ourselves and sharing it with others without ever using the word bodhisattva. You know, I wouldn't suggest going, hey, sentient being, you want to be saved? You know, how about more just like, that's cool. What a great smile. You know, I've never seen things that way. How did you do that? Right? Have you ever seen somebody do a simple task and you're just like amazed at, like, how did you do that? I always wanted to know how to do that. That's a form of appreciation too. So anyway, happy Thanksgiving weekend. You know, I obviously love our practice. I love the vows. I love the intentionality in it, and the meal gata. But I love even more how it manifests when we just live it and be it in our lives. Because it's so cool. Look at this exercise. How did you feel? How easy is it to share that feeling with somebody else? Because that's the other thing. The people that have now said, oh my God, I didn't know, I didn't feel that, I didn't know that, it brought me to tears. You created that. I mean, yeah, I clicked the breakout rooms with, you know, a modicum of, you know, agility, but you did the work. And you always can, all you bodhisattvas.